Everyone assumes the higher-ranked team wins the quarterfinal. History disagrees with that assumption more often than people think, and this weekend gives us 4 separate chances to test it. 4 games, 8 teams, and by Sunday night, only 4 of them are still alive. I'm predicting the winner of every quarterfinal before a ball gets kicked. And more importantly, I'm going to show you the reasoning behind each one, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what actually decides a knockout football match. One of these 4 predictions is going to surprise you, and it's probably not the one you'd guess. Start with the format itself, because it explains everything that follows. A quarterfinal is 90 minutes. If it's level, you get 30 more minutes of extra time. If it's still level after that, the match comes down to penalties, 5 kicks each, sudden death after that if it's still not settled. There's no second leg, no cushion, no group stage safety net where a bad performance gets forgiven 3 days later. One mistake, and a campaign 4 years in the making is over by dinner time. Here's something a lot of regular fans still get wrong themselves. For decades, tournament football leaned on something called the away goals rule, where a goal scored on the road counted for more than one scored at home if 2 teams finished level across 2 matches. It doesn't apply here, because the World Cup knockout stage has always been single matches, not 2-legged ties. But it's worth knowing that even UEFA, the organization most associated with that rule, scrapped it entirely from its own club competitions back in 2021. If you've spent years assuming it still decides close ties somewhere in football, you're not behind. Most fans are right there with you. That single structural fact about knockout football, 1 match and done, changes how teams actually play. In the group stage, coaches can afford to take risks, chase goals, leave gaps at the back, because there's always another match to fix it. In a quarterfinal, that calculation flips completely. Managers start prioritizing not losing over trying to win, which is exactly why so many knockout games at this level end up cagey, cautious, and lower scoring than the free-flowing football everyone enjoyed earlier in the tournament. Keep that in mind, because it's the single biggest reason the better team on paper doesn't always walk away with the result. First up, Thursday in Boston, France against Morocco. This is a rematch of the 2022 semi-final, when France ended Morocco's fairy tale run with a 2-0 win in Qatar, a result that still stings across North Africa. Morocco has already made history once this tournament, by becoming the first African nation to reach back-to-back World Cup quarterfinals, and they got here by beating Canada comfortably in the round of 16. France arrived a little less convincingly, grinding out a narrow 1-0 win over Paraguay, led by Kylian Mbappe doing what Kylian Mbappe does. That scoreline matters, because it tells you this isn't the free-scoring French side people remember from previous tournaments. This is a team finding ways to win rather than blowing teams off the pitch, which is a very different mindset heading into a rematch against the exact opponent they beat the last time it counted. Rematches like this carry more emotional weight than the tactics boards ever admit. It doesn't change a single formation or set-piece routine, but it changes the intensity in the tunnel before kickoff, and Morocco's players will remember exactly how 2022 ended. Morocco's blueprint hasn't changed since then either. Organization first, discipline second, and moments of individual brilliance whenever the chance appears. It's the same formula that carried them to a historic semi-final 3 years ago. But France simply has more individual quality in more positions on the pitch, and the head-to-head history between these 2 teams points in the same direction it did back then. Prediction: France advances, tighter than the scoreline from Qatar would suggest, because Morocco has learned some hard lessons since these 2 last shared a field. Friday in Los Angeles brings the most tactically interesting matchup of the round: Spain against Belgium. This is a genuine style clash, and it might be the clearest test case for the entire defense wins knockout football theory you'll see all tournament. Spain have not conceded a single goal in 5 matches, 5 clean sheets, 0 goals against, the best defensive record left in the competition. Belgium, meanwhile, have scored more than anyone else remaining in the draw, powered by a front line that dismantled the United States 4-1 in the round of 16, a performance that looked, for about 20 minutes, completely unstoppable. So the real question isn't which team is better. It's whether an immovable object beats an unstoppable force. And international football, especially at the knockout stage, has a fairly consistent answer to that question. Defense tends to win these games more often than attack does, for a simple, almost mathematical reason. One defensive mistake costs you a goal, but one missed attacking chance costs you nothing. Spain's midfield, built around the control of Rodri, dictates tempo better than any team left in the tournament, which matters far more against a team like Belgium that thrives on chaos and quick transitions than it would against a side content to sit back and absorb pressure. Belgium will get their moments in this game, because a team with that much attacking talent always does, but moments and goals are not the same thing, and Spain has made a habit all tournament of turning moments into nothing. If you're new to this sport and you're starting to actually see why these games unfold the way they do, that's kind of the whole point of this channel, so go ahead and subscribe if you're finding this useful, because there's a lot more of this coming as the tournament winds down. Prediction: Spain advances, in the kind of controlled, low-scoring win that will never make a highlight reel, but is exactly the type of result that wins tournaments. Now here's the one that's going to raise some eyebrows. Saturday in Miami, Norway against England, and most people are picking Norway automatically because of one name, Erling Haaland. He's been the most dangerous forward left in this World Cup, and he proved it by scoring both goals in Norway's win over Brazil in the round of 16, a 2-1 result that eliminated one of the tournament's genuine favorites and was the biggest shock of the knockout rounds so far. On pure individual talent, there's no argument to be had. Haaland is the best player on that pitch, probably by a wide margin. But individual talent and team results are two different questions, and this is exactly where it gets interesting. Norway's entire attacking plan revolves around getting the ball to one man as quickly as possible and trusting him to finish, which works beautifully against teams that haven't figured out how to stop it yet. England has spent this tournament building toward exactly that kind of problem. Their defense wobbled early against a Mexico side desperate for a signature win, needing to hold on late for a 3-2 result. But a team that survives a scare like that usually comes out the other side more organized, not less, because the flaws get exposed and fixed before it's too late to matter. There's an old football cliché that one player can't win a World Cup by himself, and clichés earn that reputation by being right more often than they're wrong. The piece nobody talks about enough here: single striker-dependent teams are genuinely more vulnerable in the quarterfinals than earlier rounds, because opposing coaches finally have enough film and enough preparation time to build a specific plan around shutting down one player, rather than defending an entire unpredictable attack. England has the personnel to double up on Haaland in wide areas and force Norway's other attackers to win the game instead. And that's a matchup Norway hasn't really been tested on yet. It's a genuine coin flip on paper, but when one team has an obvious single point of failure and the other doesn't, I'll take the team without the obvious weak point. Prediction: England advances, in what should be the tightest, most nervous 90 minutes of the entire round. Finally, Saturday night in Kansas City, Argentina against Switzerland, and this one carries weight beyond just the result. Argentina needed real drama to get here, winning 3-2 against both Cape Verde and Egypt in the knockout rounds. Against Egypt specifically, they trailed by 2 goals with barely 10 minutes left before pulling off a comeback that had the entire country holding its breath. Switzerland, on the other side, are in their first quarterfinal since 1954, and they got here by winning their first ever World Cup penalty shootout against Colombia, a result already being talked about as one of the tournament's great surprises. For a lot of neutral fans, this tournament already carries extra emotional weight, as very possibly Lionel Messi's final World Cup, which raises the stakes on this specific tie, whether or not it should affect 90 minutes of actual football. The obvious read is that a shaky, aging Argentina side runs into a Switzerland team riding pure momentum and belief, and on paper that's a dangerous combination for the favorites. The more complicated truth is that Argentina has now shown, twice in a row, that it can fall behind in a knockout match and still find a way through when it matters. And that specific kind of resilience tends to count for more in a quarterfinal than a clean, comfortable path to get there. Switzerland will make this difficult. They've already proven they don't rattle under pressure, and a team with nothing left to lose is always dangerous. But difficult isn't the same as impossible, and Argentina still has more individual quality capable of deciding a game in a single moment, even on a night where the performance isn't pretty. Prediction: Argentina advances, closer than anyone back home would like, but they get through. One thread ties all 4 of these games together that's easy to miss if you're only watching one match at a time. Every single co-host nation is already gone. Canada lost to Morocco. Mexico lost to England. The United States lost to Belgium. 3 countries spent the better part of a decade building stadiums and selling tickets for a tournament on their own soil, and not one of them will play another minute of it. That's the backdrop this entire quarterfinal round is playing out against. whether the broadcasts choose to mention it or not. So here's the pattern sitting underneath all four of these predictions. Every underdog in this round has a genuine, believable path to an upset. Not a hopeful one, an actual one, built on something real they've already shown on the field. In a tournament this size, at least one of these four predictions is probably going to be wrong by Sunday night. That's not a hedge, that's just what quarterfinals do. And it's exactly why this is usually the round where the bracket stops being predictable. What's most interesting isn't even who's favored. It's that three of the four favorites in this round, France, Spain, and Argentina, have all needed to win ugly at some point already in this tournament, while three of the underdogs, Morocco, Belgium, and Switzerland, have all shown they know exactly how to punish that kind of vulnerability when they see it. England's the outlier here, a favorite by matchup rather than by reputation, which might end up making that game the one worth watching closest of all. So tell me, which one of these four games do you think is most likely to flip? And is there a team in this round you think everyone's sleeping on? I'm genuinely curious what you'll say. You're welcome. Subscribe if you enjoyed this type of content. It means a lot.